Strange twin quakes, magnitude 3.2 and 2.6 hit Quebec, Canada, in the same area in 2 hours. It's an area of volcanic activity. I didn't know about this. I just researched it because of what we found in the previous video having to do with the Utah 3.9 quakes and swarms in an area of a supervolcano, the Wawa Springs volcano. And I didn't know because I used to live in Montreal until I finished senior high school and then moved to New York. But the whole area there is volcanic. And this is where we're having a tremendous amount of activity, earthquake that is. And let's take a look because we even have volcanoes off the east coast going from Canada, Newfoundland, Quebec, all the way down to the eastern seaboard of the United States. And a lot of these volcanoes are diamond-spitting volcanoes, Kimberlite diamond volcanoes. Okay, these are the earthquakes on the Canadian earthquake map, as we can see here. This is Seismo Berkeley. They only show the US map, the US quakes, but this is the area. If we extrapolate these things here, you can see we have a tremendous amount of activity on the west coast and on the east coast as well, right here. And we're very alert about this because this has to do with the New Madrid seismic rift area, the Reelfoot Rift Zone. It's a rift valley. It's a failed rift. It hasn't, well, we don't know when that may continue rifting. And there's another one here, the Keweenaw, the Mid-Atlantic Rift Zone right here, which has a huge magma body underneath. I don't know where it's coming from. We just spoke about the Utah magma underneath. That's connected here. And this is the area that we're talking about. We have had a tremendous amount of earthquake activity there lately. It's not just the west coast. We should be taking care of this as well. So this is it right here. 3.2 magnitude, 18 kilometers depth. At UTC today at 3:25 in the morning was the 3.25 in the morning, and then at 5:25 in the morning, around the same depth, 18 kilometers depth, we had a 2.6 in that same vicinity. Both of them are in Quebec. Okay, Quebec and Quebec. Let's go to our, okay, this is our Google map. This is it right here. And my pins keep coming off, but this is the general area of the volcanic areas that we're going to look at now. And if we go to the eastern seaboard, we know that we have volcanoes here. Okay, these here, the seamount, this eastern seamount, and pulling out, we'll see. It's 30 volcanoes here. It looks like more to me, but anyway. And they're all pointing this way. They're pointing in here, as we can see here. This is a direct line coming in from the volcanoes. They don't, they usually stop here at this shield. We've seen more volcanoes here recently, around here. And then after that, we usually see volcanoes, earthquakes here. And we usually see earthquakes around the Great Lakes around the same period of days. We've had the north shore of Lake Superior, we had around Michigan. We've had them even in Rhode Island. We've had them in Maine. Maine here has 5 volcanoes pointing from southeast to northwest in the direction of the seamount line, as we can see. And this is the same area that we had today in direction of the seamount line. Right here. And let's go to this one here, the Seismo Berkeley map. You can see them right here. Okay, these are older quakes. They're not today's, they're older quakes. This is from the 10th and 11th of January. Okay, right here, Canada at 1.7. Again, the 14th of January. So you see that they are having activity there. Right here. Now looking at the area of what we had here, and around the same area, we don't have the details on the Canadian maps, so I'm going to the USGS so we can have more details on that. And it's just a little bit south of Montreal. That's where I used to live, in Montreal, around the border of the upstate New York, Vermont, and upstate New York. So 571 people reported feeling that. And what's the area, why do they feel it so much? Well, the Adirondack region of northern Europe is one of the most seismically active parts of northeast US. The three largest known earthquakes in the region caused about 20 million damage in 2002 dollars to Cornwall, Ontario, and to Massena, New York in 1944, magnitude 5.8 earthquake. Caused slight damage to this sparsely settled part of the southern Adirondack Mountains in 1983, magnitude 4.9, and damaged the vicinity of Plattsburgh, New York, 2002 with magnitude 5. Moderately damaging earthquakes strike somewhere in the region every few decades, and smaller earthquakes about every 3 to 4 years. So, earthquakes in the central US and eastern US, although less frequent than the western, are typically felt over a much broader region. East of the Rockies, an earthquake can be felt over an area as much as 10 times larger than a similar magnitude earthquake on the west coast. And let's go to the faults. They don't really know where they are. Now, earthquakes everywhere occur on faults within bedrock, usually miles deep. Most of the Adirondack region bedrock was formed several generations of mountains rose and were eroded down again over the last billion or so years. We're talking about the area of the, this is the area, the beautiful area of the Adirondacks, upstate, beautiful stuff up there. They have horse ranches, and you can have a beautiful time with your family. Okay, obviously I did many a time. Now here, okay, this is the Keweenaw Fault right here, with magma underneath. And this was about 1 billion years ago that rift took place. And Superior was much closer to Wyoming at that time. Wyoming is here. Superior is here. That's a rift going this way, as you can see, going this way. It's not far from Wyoming. Okay, this is stretching here, and this goes all the way down to Texas from what they found recently. This magma plume goes all the way down to Texas. It's the shape of a long horseshoe. It goes like this, okay? And it engulfs the Great Lakes. And that's just what I wanted to show you there. Now, the earthquakes are felt in bedrock miles deep. The Adirondacks formed about the last billion years or so. The well-studied plate boundaries like San Andreas in California, often scientists can determine the name of the specific fault responsible for an earthquake. That's not so here. Okay, in the Adirondack region is far from the nearest plate boundaries, which are in the center of the Atlantic, and in the Caribbean the region is laced with known faults, but numerous smaller or deeper buried faults remain undetected. Okay, deeper buried faults remain, but no problem, because we have a lot of volcanoes that are active right there, the undersea volcanoes, and that somehow is pushing energy. We've had a lot of earthquakes around here lately, okay? And just today, again, within a 2-hour time span. But what about our volcanoes there? List of volcanoes. Let's go to Quebec. Amazing. Take your pick. Lac de Vin Volcano Complex, 2.3 kilometers thick arcane volcanic complex. The belt of Quebec, Canada, important part of major submarine volcanic structure. Blake River Mega Caldera Complex. This is an area of a supervolcano. We're going to go, the biggest supervolcano that ever took place, list of supervolcanoes, where are they? Anyway, it's not here, it's another one, was in Canada, in this area, the biggest one. It's like 50, it was 15 times the size, where is it? It's not here, okay. 15 times the size of the latest Yellowstone. I'm sorry, I'll find it another time. Okay, so it's the biggest supervolcano in the world was right here. The biggest supervolcano in the world, 15 times a huge Yellowstone eruption, 15 times, okay? It was considered VEI9. VEI9, this thing. You can imagine the damage that it caused. So we think of this area of the eastern part of the United States as being very soft and very, quiet and nothing happens earthquake-wise. Well, it's full of volcanoes. Maine has 5, as we said. Canada, supervolcano. We're getting an uptick in weird earthquakes. I was surprised at the fact that, Montreal has all these cinder cones up there and lava domes. Besides the fact that it was hit a couple of times by asteroid strikes, this is the Manicouagan crater right there. Right there. And that looks like a double whammy. It's one here and one there, just about the same size. As we know, many times they come in together. And what's this? This looks too round to be coincidental. It looks like a direct hit right there. And then we had in Hudson Bay a couple of months back, we did a big long video on that having to do with the comet strike that took place there. And they thought they found soot. That caused burning of everything there. They found soot in North America. They thought that comet was only in North America. Then they found that soot was everywhere in the northern hemisphere. Then they found that comet broke into 7 pieces and was found having struck at least 7 areas of the world. Look at this. Something slid in there. And look at this. Same thing down here. What happened here? Something slid here as well. We have a lot of marks on our Earth from past impacts. But anyway, this shield here stops the earthquake pressure around there. From past videos, past articles, we have confirmed that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more earthquakes around here now, because that pressure is it wants to be released. So let's go back to the calderas, okay? That's it right there. Lava lakes, everything, you've got everything. Let's go back again, where were we? Because we have a lot of volcanoes in Quebec. This one here is Misema caldera, Noranda caldera. They're basically the same huge area. Lake Timiskaming, Kimberlite field. Kimberlite, we know, spits diamonds. Canada's southmost Kimberlite field, located in northeast Ontario and western Quebec. That's where we're having our earthquakes now. It's a volcano in the area there. Northeast Ontario, western Quebec. It's within the Lake Timiskaming structural zone, containing over 50 Kimberlite pipes, several of which are diamondiferous. They spit diamonds. 50 Kimberlite pipes, right there. Okay, this is western Quebec, eastern Ontario, right here. That's where we are today. That's where we're having our beautiful earthquake swarms. Okay, Hunter Mine Caldera, complex in North Volcanic Zone of Belt, Ontario and Quebec, located at the eastern end of Lake Abitibi. And then we have the Ontario. I'm not going to go through all of these volcanoes in Canada. Most of them, of course, are in. We do have a lot of them in Alberta, in the prairie area. British Columbia, of course, that's the west coast. But we're looking at Ontario. No, Nova Scotia has one too. That's the submarine, I think. Shelf. It's on the shelf of the northeast coast of Nova Scotia, representing the remains of a volcanic center that was constructed along the fracture zone Cretaceous. And Nunavut, okay, Ontario. Ontario, Sturgeon Lake Caldera, Northwest Ontario, one of the world's best preserved mineralized Neo-Archean caldera complex. Manitou Islands, look at that. There's islands there, but there's a caldera under. There's We have an area between Ontario going towards the highway going towards upstate New York that has the Thousand Island area. That must be part of it. Now, Blake River, Mega Caldera Complex, that's what we're talking about. Take your pick. You know, the whole area of Ontario, Quebec, as you can see, is full of volcanic activity. Now, Mississauga Caldera, we talked about that before. That was also in Quebec. Attawapiskat, Kimberlite pipes, diamond spitting pipes, in other words. Okay? It's near the Hudson Bay lowlands in northern Ontario, thought to have formed about 180 million years in the Jurassic period, when the North American plate moved west. So that's around here. More diamond spitting mines, right? Volcanoes right there. Kimberlite right there. Ontario and Quebec right there. That's Hudson Bay, as we know. James Bay, Hudson Bay. You know, we okay, going back, and we talked about this. Kimberlite Field, we saw this, and the Dead Horse Creek, Ontario, about 16 miles west of Marathon, formed by the Mid-Continental Rift, the long rift in the center of the North American continent. Okay, well, that's it. That's obviously the Mid-Continental Rift. That's a thing, something that nobody talks about. I think I'm the only channel talking about the Mid-Continental Rift, but it's astonishing. This was about 1 billion years ago. And look, it goes all the way here. It's got volcanoes all around it. Volcanoes this way too. We have Kimberlite volcanoes in Kansas, the diamond spitting volcanoes. If you're there, go take day trips and go around and dig. Buy yourself make yourself a beautiful birthday gift of a geologist toolkit with the little hammers that they have, little picks and hammers and shovels, and those hammers are very strong. And you can go, you know, hunting, geology hunting. Be careful though of the snakes and scorpions and stuff. You know, you can become a type of an Indiana Jones person. You may find something. You may be having a very nice, profitable hobby doing that. Okay, so Kirkland Lake Kimberlite Field. As we said, every time you have kimberlite, you have diamond spitting volcanoes. It is a 165 to 152 million year old kimberlite field in the Kirkland Lake area of northeast Ontario. Northeast Ontario being here, towards western Quebec. So this is where we're having all this. It looks like the pressure is from here. As we said, it stops around here, and that's where we're having a lot of our earthquakes lately. More here, and as we said, I wouldn't be surprised if we have, they take out the earthquakes here, they don't leave them up forever, up here. So I'll leave links below for you for this. And all of you who are there, please be very careful. Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.